right now we're speaking from across the entire globe, and I find that so exciting. But I want to go into where this goes in terms of our work, because it's more than just this kind of thing. This is a little easy. It does go into Portrait of a Graduate. So as you're building both the academic skills and the social and emotional skills, community building skills, we've really been seeing a lot of definitive work in Portrait of a Graduate, and making a balanced, healthy human being. And that's what we're talking about now. In times like this, we return to what does it mean to be human, a human learner, family, community, health, courage. This idea of what are the words we use to describe our graduate? And then what are the learning targets that align to that? How do we overtly teach these things? How do we overtly assess them? And I don't so much mean evaluate them as I mean get evidence of them so that I can give feedback on them. And this idea it has been very strong. This one comes from Wilton, Connecticut, and they're happy to share, and they're happy to share the process if you have more questions about that as well. But when we think about global communication, global thinking, decision-making, and taking action, now our curriculum assignments start to take on the development of a global citizen. And when, as a teacher, I'm able to perform that way and leverage it, how can I bring that into my assignments? So for example, this one was a fun one. Even just thinking about translation, when you make an assignment, and this one goes with that Google comment again, but I want them to use Google. Take your sentences and put it into Google Translate. Translate it into any language on the planet. And then put it back in and translate it back. Does the sentence have the same meaning? And if it doesn't, can you predict what the impact might be to an audience member who's reading that through Google Translate? So if you're going to put this out on a blog, like we try to say, right? Put that in a blog, get it published. Have you edited your work or revised your work for translation? Because if you think you're going to have a global audience, what kind of responsibility do we have to make sure the message doesn't get not only lost, but offensive if we end up not thinking about that impact? So we go down to a 20,000 vocabulary, we remove introductory phrases if we're speaking English. These are the kinds of things that we do. Where in our curriculum and where in our practices are we aware of this? How would we increase that? What would it even look like? How would we assess that? Starts to come through. Okay. Global PD, I couldn't agree more. I'm so honored to be a part of your team. It really is exciting. Heidi and I are very grateful for it. But it goes beyond that. And so with one another and within Australia and beyond, thinking about building those partnerships and sharing the work. All right. And then publishing it, being a part of building that for other people. So I know I'm preaching to the choir on this one. And if I could see Deb and Karen, I'm sure they'd be like, yeah, that's where we are. But the idea of thinking about leveraging and connecting the students to know that and the teachers. What's working in other places? What lessons can we learn from other regions who are dealing with the same pandemic issues? And when it's not a pandemic, the kinds of issues that they're dealing with. So I'm going to pause there real quick. We're coming into our last couple of minutes. We only have one more point on this one, but I want to see in the chat, what innovative thinking have we been doing recently? When I talked about that innovative designer, I am sure we had giggles across the board. So what have you been doing? What have you been building? And what do we have to teach others in the area? But how can we teach as globally connected citizens right away? And I want to stress to that, not just with our students, but also with our colleagues.